Sometime.
Okay, we'll go ahead and call to order April 21st, 2025. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. 6 p.m. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Elise, roll call.
Mike Womack,
Here.
Patty Drew. Here. TJ Hecox,
Here.
Ryan Dietrich,
Here.
and Jan Sonner.
Here. Okay, thank you. Brings us to appointment of our budget committee member. So everybody had time to review the applications? We had a lot of them. We narrowed it down to one. With that, we'll go ahead and we have a nomination to appoint.
Sure, I'll make a motion to appoint Braden Erickson on the budget committee.
We have a second.
I'll second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Congratulations. Okay, that'll bring us 4.0. We will recess to the budget committee meeting now. Six oh one. Okay, I will call to order at 6:01. Budget committee, April 21st, 2025. At least we have roll call.
Mike Womack,
Here.
Patty Drew. Here. Braden Erickson.
Here.
TJ Hecox,
Here.
Ryan Dietrich,
Here.
and Jan Sonner.
Thank you.
I was nervous.
Everybody had time to read the agenda? Consent agenda? No discussion, we'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda for the budget committee meeting April 21st, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay. Braden, we have an oath of office. If you don't mind coming up, we'll. Yeah, me. I, Braden Erickson,
I, Braden Erickson,
do solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States and of the state of Oregon,
do solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States and the state of Oregon,
and faithfully discharge any duties which shall become my responsibility as budget. Nope, you got the wrong one. You have to let the chair on. Oh, go ahead, keep your now.
and faithfully
You don't want
discharge
this one.
any duties which shall become my responsibility as a member of the budget committee of Poole School District number 8.
The 21st day of April, 2025. All right, thank you.
Yep.
You must be right, Chip. Okay, that brings us to Budget Committee Chairperson, election of office. Do we have anybody?
I would nominate Jan Sonner.
For chair? Chairperson? Okay.
Current chairperson?
I'll
Any
second.
discussion? Y'all second? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. About 5.2, Budget Committee Vice Chair.
Can I nominate Patty?
You can. Is there any discussion or, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The most
Okay.
seasoned.
Congratulations. 6.0, Superintendent Budget Message.
So we're going to start off with Tammy. She's got a little presentation for you, and then go right into the superintendent message. Parse way through it.
All right. Everybody should have their budget in front of the proposed budget in front of them.
So here's what our agenda is tonight. We'll go over the budget definition, budget committee role, fund accounting, Superintendent Peterson's budget message, go over the budget assumptions, talk about general fund, transfers, FTE comparisons, and then the next steps. So just a reminder, so we already know this, what is a budget? It's a financial plan. It's for one fiscal year, and our fiscal year is July 1st through June 30th. It's based on estimates of revenue and expenditures and other requirements. And the budget is the basis for appropriations which create the authority to spend public money. What does the budget committee do? Budget committee receives the budget document. The budget is a public document when released to the committee. It's available to the public at the same time as the committee. The public has a right to inspect it, and we must provide a means for public to copy, and we can also charge for those copies. The budget committee also hears the budget message prepared by or under the direction of the superintendent, explains the budget document, describes financial policies, explains any changes since last year. The budget document must be in writing and anyone can deliver it. The budget committee then will approve the budget, and there's just a sample of the motion that will be read at some point. And then also approve the property taxes. And then there's a motion on there to approve the property taxes as an example. What is a fund? A fund is a separate fiscal and accounting entity. It's used to separate out and account for specific resources used to carry on specific activities. A complete set is a complete set of self-balancing accounts, and a fund has its own asset, liability, fund balance, revenue, and expense accounts. So you'll hear us talk about the general fund, special revenue funds, and capital improvement funds. Why do we use the fund system? It's to track accountability rather than profitability. The funds may be designated for a specific purpose, and it also ensures restricted resources are spent for their intended purposes. So again, we have these fund types. Our general fund 100 is our default fund for governmental funds. It's an account for and report of all financial resources not accounted for in other funds. The main revenue sources for our general fund are property taxes, the state school fund, and for Jewel, the state timber revenue. And you'll hear a lot about that. Special revenue funds are in our 200s. They can go anywhere from 201 to 299. Accounts for proceeds for specified revenue sources that are restricted or committed for specified purposes other than debt service or capital projects. And the main revenue sources are grants and fees. Capital Project Fund 400 is the account for financial resources that are restricted, committed, or assigned to expenditures for capital outlays. And the main revenue source is the beginning fund balance and a transfer from our general fund. I'm going to let Superintendent Peterson take it over.
Good evening, everybody. So this is, I'm going to read the document I have for you. I'll try to elaborate a little bit in between. If you have questions, feel free to let me know as we go through this here. Okay, budget message for the 25-26 school year. So as I write the message, I reflect upon my budget message from last year, in which I stated that the district would be facing challenges with the current budget as the Habitat Conservation Plan. And if you're newer to that, it's the HCP, which will have a direct impact on our state timber dollars, which drives nearly all of the funding for our district. The HCP was voted and passed by the Oregon Department of Forestry back in March of 2024 and still waiting approval at the federal level. We are still in a time of uncertainty as changes of staffing the government at the federal level may have an impact on the laws governing the forest lands, but currently not at the state level. I brought that up to you at the last board meeting. We're currently operating at a deficit level as our first 2 quarterly timber payments have come in at a loss of over $1 million. And we have 4 quarter payments a year out of the first 2 already $1 million behind from where we expected to be. There's uncertainty as to what the next 2 quarterly timber payments will hold, and hence the district is looking ahead with a conservative mindset in regards to our current and future budgets to ensure our educational institution will hold strong for our students and school community. And looking at needed reductions in our funding over the next few budget cycles over the course of a few years here to preserve our district reserves as these should not be utilized for general operating budget. I want to express that again. Operating budget should not be coming out of our reserves, because it potentially could be a point where our funds that go into our security net, safety net, as you would call it, there'll be nothing going into it. And that is a big concern, obviously, for everybody here. So this proposed budget will reflect the beginning, and I want to express that again, the beginning stages of this step in accordance with the impact of the HCP and the potential loss of timber revenues, which we believe is already taking place. Our district is still preparing for the full picture of where we are headed financially, but there are too many variables and questions that cannot be realized and answered at this specific moment. The purpose of our financial planning throughout this year was to create a framework for our district to follow and to ensure not only that resources are available to fund our continuing vision and goals, but to make sure that we have financial stability. It's critical that we stay focused on our unified district vision and that we're able to target our funding towards our educational resources in the most efficient and effective manner to improve student achievement. These educational resources are tied to the standards and student outcomes, which is important to maintain not only effective programs for our students, but efficient ones. That saves money as well. Since the primary reason that schools exist is to provide for the education of our youth, the majority express this over and over, the majority of our financial resources should go toward the instructional process and to build capacity for academic and social and emotional success for our students. We have the ability to build the strongest level of support for all of our students over time, as long as the vision, resources, and support are all present. So with the above in mind, I'm proposing the district choose to focus resources and accountability around specific tools, strategies, professional development, which you hear me say is PD, procedures and policies that can be documented to improve student performance. When I say documented, I mean data. That we're utilizing data for this district to make sure we know it's effective. This is a shift of focus for some components of our district, as it focuses more on the output within our district, or in other words, the output of student performance. And I've been expressing that since day one since I've been here. Through this process, the district strategies for our proposed budget are as follows. Number one, understanding what our school needs. And yes, it's a pre-K through 12, but very distinct pre-K through 12. So you have a very distinctive elementary, middle school, and high school. What are those needs for those 3 areas? Number two, invest in the most important changes that have the greatest impact for students in the district. And 3, customize the strategies to the school and the environment, ultimately bringing forth the change in the output or the performances of our district. So these are the strategies that will help our district in achieving our outcomes. Our vision of outcomes are not just those related to the academic achievement of students, but also to the fiscal health of the organization and the maintenance of a safe and secure learning environment for all stakeholders. Some of our established goals are broad in vision and help over time to promote sustainability, and it can bring measurable success in all student achievement, including our focal student populations, which you heard again me speak about for our student investment account last month. That's our high poverty and disability students. So below, this proposed balanced budget represents the Jewel School District Board's goals and priorities for the coming school year. It provides the resources available to bring forth the best supports for a safe environment and financially responsible educational program for our pre-K through 12 students. I should have put a period there. This is a long sentence. That further ensures a well-rounded educational focus on the state core standards, as well as the extracurricular opportunities to provide for well-balanced education for every student in our district. As your interim superintendent of the Jewel School District, it continues to be a priority for me to increase the overall understanding of our budget. I expressed the same thing last year. It continues to get more realistic for this brain in here as we continue with the HCP to our district's unified vision. And even more importantly, being disciplined by that vision moving forward as we continue to transition phase into the uncertain times of our financial future. So below, these are the priority focus areas. You will have seen this priority focus. I've gone back through previous budget messages from previous superintendents, and this has been on there for a number of years, but I don't want you to get confused by if any of you have those questions, if you've seen them. I have been here for 18 years, and I have watched the TSS system we talked about for 6 or 7 years. I will say truthfully, we are working on implementing this for the last 2 years. We are really pushing, and we're not giving up the message on this one. So continuing to build a multi-tiered systems of support. And I'll throw some acronyms at you. That's our PBIS, our positive behavioral support systems, trauma-informed practices. I'll bring that up in just a moment here. SEL, social emotional learning, which has become some state standards of the state of Oregon in last July as requirements in our classrooms, all classrooms. And then response to interventions, or TI. So the effective implementation of these systems will help support our students' social, emotional development, as well as their everyday academic growth and learning. And then I put in here, we have made great strides with our MTSS behavioral development around common spaces throughout the whole 24-25 school year. We worked ad nauseum last year to get these as perfected as possible, implemented them this year, showing consistency in behavior expectations, utilizing SWIS. It's our behavioral tracker system, Synergy, that's our attendance for our student body, and grading component, and much more, by the way. And then professional development and staff data to bring forth continued positive changes. In addition, on top of this, again, in the MTSS component, our social emotional learning work and the adoption by the school board of the second step program will continue to guide our child protection curriculum forward. The MTSS team moves into its second full year. I'm talking about the specific team, and we have a team here in the district. We'll move into its second complete full year. It continues to build the framework for the district, along with guidance for our student support teams, SSTs, to further advance our growth partnerships with our students and their families. And I express we are at early stages. We are doing a lot of work behind the scenes. SSS team hasn't seen us very much for the last 3-4 weeks or so, but we have a lot of information, but it's a matter of getting it prepared in a manner that's not going to be rushed and done right here. Okay, we continue to bring on more community partnerships from within Clatsop and Columbia County, as well as support from our educational service district, and most recently the RCC network, which I have now taken on being on their steering committee, and that's Resilient Clatsop County. And I've taken over for all the Clatsop county superintendents. They nominated me to be involved in that organization. So it's been the last few months I've taken part, and a lot of resources to come out of that to help our community and our families, ultimately helping our students. You hear a lot more about that over the next year. All of these components and partnerships are critical and continue to build our support base as we further structure our MTSS program in the 25-26 school year ahead. I guess that's all my way of saying I don't want to let go of the gas. We've been pushing this far for the last 2 years, and it's not perfected by any means. We're still growing this, but I want to continue to push because I truthfully believe, and I'm going to ask Mr. Scott to speak at the moment, but I believe we're headed in the right direction with this. Okay, the next one. If everybody can look at the seriousness of my face, I can be as serious as I can say. The special education director position, 1.0 FTE. This position, I truthfully believe, can be completely redefining for our district for student success. I mean, I'm more than happy to answer any questions after I go through this with you. But I want to express how important I think this could really do for just the output of our student success all across the board, specifically for high profile students here. So this special education director position, which is required, we have to have a special ed director for the district, no matter what. We've had 2, they've been attached to our principal role, our last 2 principals, and I can be very blunt and say it has not worked. It has not worked. So this will elevate, transform student outcome across all levels of ability. This vital leadership position will serve as a cornerstone in re-envisioning and assisting in building a student-centered, equitable, and innovative special education program that prioritizes growth, inclusion, and lifelong success. This position will lead the redesign of the district's special education program to ensure that best practices, data-driven instruction, individualized support are implemented with fidelity and consistently across the K-12 spectrum. They will be responsible for developing a cohesive vision that puts students first, ensuring compliance while maximizing opportunities for social, emotional, and academic growth. In addition, this position will also directly supervise and coordinate the district's entire preschool promise program. That's early childhood education component feeding into our elementary program, and creating a seamless and intentional bridge between preschool and kindergarten, one of the most critical windows of child development, ensuring early intervention and readiness for all learners. This position will also serve as a talented and gifted coordinator, our TAG program, which was not in compliance with this district for years, and it frustrates me. It was not in compliance with this district for years. We now have it in compliance. We have the plan, but to get it off the ground is a whole nother animal, another beast. And so I see this position lifting that. So beyond our special education program, we're talking about our youngest in the district, plus also getting all of our TAG students, pushing and shoving them, because we have them. That's the other side of the spectrum, the most talented people we have educationally here in the district, to push them. And then also oversee all our Section 504 programming. So these are students that are not SPED students, but they have specific accommodations that they might need to support. I'm talking about 20-25% of our entire student population. So when I say a big effect on our entire district, that's how important I feel this role is. And it also takes some large chunks of items off of your principal, which has been something that our principals have said multiple times. This is too much. There's so much work, too many things on our plates. This takes it all off. So they can actually be principal, if that makes sense. So this ensures that high impact specialized services are aligned, well-resourced, and embedded in the broader framework for student success. Through the strategic leadership role, the district will streamline and enhance communication. That's important. Got that through our surveys and our feedback. Communications, accountability, and program implementation across all special populations, resulting in stronger outcomes, greater family engagement, and a more inclusive and responsive educational environment. Go ahead.
Will this position also be able to help our middle of the road children to maybe boost them up to TAG and keep them going so that they're not lost in the shuffle?
So part of it, I'm going to make sure it's in this part here, under the federal grants and student investment account that I presented last year. We currently do not have anyone in specific support roles in the middle school in the secondary level right now. They've been pulled out for about 3 years at this point, where I'm putting somebody back in help in that avenue. Now, this is kind of a jack of all trades position, because when you have somebody in this position, oftentimes when they're getting the SPED director role, they have a usually administrative license already attached. They don't use it, but for specific requirements by SPED director roles, they have those licenses. So this is somebody we could definitely utilize in that.
Because I don't want those average, I don't want to say average, but your middle of the road kids that are not quite up here, not quite down there. I don't want to lose those kids.
Well, I don't think we will, because again, with our MTSS program,
Okay.
this is student support teams.
Okay.
I mean, we have the level 1 is the MTSS team,
Mhm.
and then the level 2, we're still defining this. This is why I said we're on the early implementation of this, level 2 and level 3. I like to think that our level 2s are I would say our student support teams in general, and then we're defining our level 3s. Those are those students you're talking about. That if we can't reach them through more of the small group activities at the level 2, the student support teams, then we push them into the level 3s, which is very individualized.
Because you get those kids that just mosey along, they're not the brightest kids, but they're not the ones that need a lot of help, and they just kind of go along with the program.
And staff doesn't know this, but some of our conversations we just wrapped up about 2 weeks ago. We're going to have again today, Wednesday. We're going to talk about, again, the student support teams throughout the whole staff. So students having about 3 teachers well-defined who would be their reach out, their supports, who also are the community supports once a month on Wednesdays, where they would be making connections good or need some help in families once a month. So, yeah, we're aware of those students.
So just, just a little push to get those kids a little bit, maybe more motivated to be able to be in the TAG program, be able to do something different.
And part of this is, since some of this is barely off the ground, and it hasn't been for a long time, they don't know what that vision looks like.
Okay.
And our staff need guidance. And this individual, I mean, we have the TAG program ready to go. It's been presented to ODE, it's on our website, it's there, but it's a matter of getting it fully off the ground. Yeah, it's the time, it's the structure, it's the push from behind
Okay.
to make it happen. So no, I understand what you're saying. Are there any other questions at all about that? Before?
Does that make pretty good sense as a principal standpoint?
Absolutely, because the role of a principal is to be in the classrooms, making sure that the programs that we have are being followed with fidelity, especially in language arts and math. And so taking some of that off the plate of that person will allow the principal to be in the classrooms, know what's going on, know the kids just from being in the classrooms, but also being able to do a better job of digging into the programs that we have, and then making recommendations and having, you always have to say to what's going on, but when you're not bombarded with everything else, you can focus on, okay, these are the things that we need for those tier 2 kids. the ones that, just need a little extra help in groups. And even into the tier 3, where it might be a one-on-one situation, but it would help a lot. It makes a lot of sense to have this position take something off the plate so the principal can fall into the role, the traditional role that they had. It's, in Jewel, it's not really a traditional role because you wear so many hats, but when you take off a few hats, it makes a huge difference on being able to be in the classrooms and help those kids.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And we've shuffled some things around. I keep thinking as I've expressed the vision, but we have shuffled some things around to make sure that we have this, and there is no increase in cost for the district. In fact, we have decreased costs for the district from last year by quite a bit. As I said, beginning phases. So in my mind, this looks more robust than it did last year, but I think we're being a little bit more, I guess a little bit more, pardon the expression, smart with how we're deciding to utilize our funds, where it's, the position is becoming more clear, I guess is how I want to say it. Then high school success supports. So targeted intentional focus on school attendance. I put in parentheses, you might be tired of me saying this, but we saw some incredible gains through the data in the last school year, to the point many districts in the ESDs asking, Jewel, what the heck did you do to get such a large 26% increase? I can't remember exactly what it was. Ninth grade success and middle school and high school academic support through staff collaboration sessions. There's your SST teams, interventions, and after school support. So Patty, that is that whole thing, the questions you just asked about. Let's continue with the focus on our post-secondary success priorities. The district focus on these target supports and programs with working conjunction, as I said, with the MTSS progress will assist in providing more structure and guidance for strategic learning, which will in turn lead to more opportunities and growth for learning for all. Furthermore, the continued increase in attendance will benefit both student learning and growth, as well as provide the financial support and longevity of the district resources. And then this one, you did have a presentation also, I think, was it last month or the previous month, about I had Martha Stevens come in and present to you about our farm to table program. And I mentioned also the possibility of our, it's called the POS, our program of study, taking our construction program, which has been the lead, and the renewal time is actually right now for our district, and not leaving it exactly as it is, but bringing in the ad and making that the big umbrella for the whole component. I'm working with an individual from Clatts Community College, who we've had some differences of opinions and language over the last couple of years of making this work. I'm going to use the resilient Clatsop County thing and just be resilient and keep pushing and pushing. And we're able to make that the case here. So, inclusion of a K-12 agricultural teaching position. And I do want to say, we did receive another $1,500 grant. Today, I forget the organization, but I know Martha will be traveling down. What was it? AgFest. She's going to be traveling down to Salem to accept that award. And now there's another $50,000 grant that's also being a potential to jump for. So there's a lot of vision. The kids are excited by this. We have quite a robust system going already. We've been working through for the whole year, but it would be a position to create a new program of study in conjunction again with our CT construction to support career-connected learning, community partnerships, and real-world application of core academic skills. This dedicated agriculture teaching position will serve students in grades K through 12 and cultivate interest in agriculture, sustainability, and career technical education, which is CTE, while strengthening academic engagement and local relevance for all students. Furthermore, this will support CTE pathways into agriculture at the secondary level, connecting students in internships, certifications, FFA, Future Farmers of America, and post-secondary opportunities in high-demand fields. In addition, this program will also support rural identity and community involvement by aligning instruction with local industry and cultural values, preparing students for success both in our Jewel hometown region and beyond. And there's a big push with all the superintendents right now, having our CT programs being very publicly celebrated at the ESD with all the other different districts. And I'm engaging in conversations with Clatsop County superintendents right now about possibly how to get our students involved in other districts' CT offerings, even if they cannot get there every day, but doing a virtual component where accordingly they would still get to make visits there. And same thing for our district. So I am headed to Rainier. Can't remember, some time in May to visit their pathway right now for agriculture. And I believe that's the only one in this region that is close to having a FFA here.
Is this FTE coming from the general fund or coming from a grant?
It is, And make sure if I'm correct, it's SIA if I'm correct.
Mhm.
It's general fund, and do you have to pull it out anywhere else?
And
And other than like I told you, with me shuffling everything around.
Okay.
There's and I'm just gonna say our educational specialist, which is our in-house sub, I had yanked the complete position out of the district.
Well, I was just concerned that if it was on a grant fund or something, the grant goes away, where do we get the money?
That grant that grant's not gonna go away. I don't see it going away for at least, I didn't see it going anyway for the next 4 to 6 years.
Okay.
that's, I,
Yeah, it's not going anywhere.
yes, sure.
Okay, let's see, updating our instructional material adoptions. So every year there's a schedule of adoptions for the curriculum for the districts. This is not on there, but we have gone through, you'll see a little bit of the sex education. Tonight a little bit more, just a brief announcement, not too much about it. Would like some sort of vote for the second step later in the month of May here. But we have not talked about the high school level curriculum, and it's been quite a number of years since that adoption. Then also math, we did miss the math one a number of years ago, so we want to make sure that we hit the math component as well. And then next year's schedule adoption is the social sciences. So I put that on there as well for future discussions with our teachers. And then possible capital improvement funds for the following districts, the old gymnasium re-roofing. So we did apply for a grant, I believe twice at this point. And I believe it comes around again next year. So I'd like to apply for that again. There's discussions about whether or not that gym would need to have seismic upgrades at all or not. That is an expensive project. And so when we talk about reserves, not using for general, not using our general funding for that kind of stuff, or for everyday funding of the district, this is what I'm talking about. These components, we have to put something expense out. The new gymnasium emergency door, I do want to bring that up at some point. That kind of went when the HDP first hit us. So I do want to bring that up at some point over the summer, just to say, hey, how do you feel? What are your thoughts about that? And then let's see, bring our outdoor stadium into ADA compliance. So I'm talking about like for wheelchairs, getting access out to there, because you're not supposed to ride anything on the track itself. But if you park up by the stadium, you've got gravel. It's not ADA compliant. So how do we get that put into place? And then finding a place also our shop class or construction class can work on something with the seating inside the stadium so it's compliant with ADA as well. And then I also said keeping funds available for any unforeseen water or well situations. Part of the expression that's been a crapshoot for a number of years. So we've had 3 years where we had no water, and we've been trucking in $20,000, maybe more dollars worth of water, which is interesting. I remember EJ seeing water truck parked out, walks around, just hey, what's going on? And so in this past summer, we did fine. We did just fine. And then continued priority focus areas. So we're currently in negotiations right now. So the negotiation status with the OSDA Chapter 145 collective bargaining. So that is still ongoing. And I don't see that ending in the next month here. So we're still going with that one. Continued funding for Senate Bill 489 requirements. That's the unemployment bill, which allows for unemployment benefits during a break or recess period for individuals in educational institution roles other than teaching, research, principal admin. So it's basically classified staff. And I put that this is a law in Oregon State that has no funding attached to it when they put it upon the school districts. So therefore, we have to fund the whole thing. I also put increase in the salaries and benefits for non-represented staff. So that's non-classified, non-certified. Assurance of maintenance of effort, that's special education, making sure you hit a specific amount of money that you spent the prior year. You can't go beneath that. Under certain special circumstances, you can start to reduce that, but that's when people move on out of the district and whatnot, you have to hold the same amount for special education every year and increase it by at least a penny. So that's why they say maintenance of effort, to maintain those special services. Let's see, continued support of athletics, band, music, and CTE programs. And the continued support, I won't read it all, but for our technology, computer software, and hardware, which is pretty integral part of our community at this point for our students' learning. Let's see, staff, admin, and board professional development. I won't go too much in that, but professional development really does define a lot of the work that we do to continue to grow as a district. And I think we're being more cognizant about what we're taking and sending everybody off to make sure that it does have an impact for the district and ultimately for our kids. And then continuation of needed repairs and upgrades to district Bremen properties. I will say that has been the number one thing that gets staff out here in the Jewel School District. Since I've been here, they're full, and they are full. Currently one's open for a principal. We re-roofed two of our houses back here. One of the houses had to be gutted because the rot was so bad back there. And it expressed from the garage all the way through the dining room, all the way through the kitchen, into the hallway, and then halfway to the house. So we spent quite a bit of money to get that house. It is, I believe, after the gutters are put into place, and we won't be touching that thing for probably a couple of decades, is my thought process. But if we don't maintain these houses, we're not gonna have anything left. It's a pretty big one. I've stalled on the two roofs over here, for the summer, because I want to make sure we replenish some of our funds before we get too far down the road here. And then Northwest Regional, there's a time where the district leadership, for whatever reason, booted everybody out. But I think the Northwest Regional is there to help coach, as I said, and collaborate with our community for both students and adults in general at all levels. And they come in and help support in all the programs that we have to offer in the district, all the way even to our business department, which I know our Tammy greatly enjoys her assistance with that. And beyond that, I just put our federal state grants, our high school success grant, which does fund a part of a teacher's position, and the Student Success Act, SIA. I will be, I did a presentation for you, but I will be submitting this to the state on probably Wednesday. I have one more last component. I got most of it upgraded, and that's your $217,000 grant for the district. That would pay for quite a few things in the district, for some staffing and services for our district. So that is the basis of our report here.
Have we seen any decrease in grants for federal grants coming in?
Currently, no.
So because of the new administration and
No, there's
the whole
been,
shakeup?
I don't want to say threats, but there's been memos sent out there about if you don't comply with DEI, I mean, that's one of them.
Yeah.
If you don't comply with DEI, we're going to withhold a certain amount of funds. Oregon Department of Education has jumped in and they've taken on that role for messaging for all schools in Oregon. So if I receive something, which I haven't, but if I receive something, I'm just going to put my hands up and just let Oregon Department of Education handle the messaging for all schools.
But I mean, as far as individual grants that might be federally funded, that we would
Well,
apply for on our own, have we seen a decrease in?
Well, potentially the REAP grant, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, about 13,000.
Yeah.
There's no guarantee that will be continued into next year, so we could lose a $15,000 grant.
Okay.
Student investment account, didn't it go down? I think it went down just a small, I mean, we're talking $3,000, $4,000 or so from.
But we haven't seen a major cutoff on federal
No.
funds
Or
or
the-
grants that we would.
Or like title.
Well,
we
Title 1A,
Title
we're
we
talking
have.
Okay.
Title 1A programs.
And-
Well,
yes.
all the title components under Title 1A.
Because those are based off of, there's a formula they do that is in part based off of, the census that was done 4 years ago. So already then it's 4 years ago, and it's also based off of, the poverty rate, and there's a few other factors. And we saw, I think a 13% decrease.
But that has nothing to do with the change of the
At
administration.
the federal
At
level,
the
no.
federal level. That's what I was kind of. Okay. And yeah, I do understand those. We don't have any.
I'm glad to say, can we predict what's going to happen in the future? I
No.
have no clue. I really don't.
But as of right now, it's kind of the federal funds that we receive and the grants that we could apply
Yeah.
for. There's.
For what it's worth, I'd be stunned if something would go through in all these districts all across the whole United States where there was a federal funding. I don't even think that would be, I just couldn't even imagine.
Okay.
I couldn't even imagine.
Okay.
So if there's no other questions, I know Tammy has just to wrap up her last part of her presentation.
So these are kind of the budget assumptions we went off of for the 2025, 2026 year. We settled on, the assumption that we would receive $3.6 million in state timber revenue. We decided on that number, because that is also roughly the number we would receive if we were, receiving a state school fund. So and that is about in line right now for what we would be receiving this year if the next 2 quarters play out the same as the first 2 quarters played out. And we're going to be transferring $5.2 million to operations. Some of the other assumptions we're going off of is that our licensed for the CBA, they have a 2% salary increase plus their steps. Classified, as Corey mentioned, is unknown because we're in negotiations. Non-represented staff, a 3 to 4% salary increase based on contracts that are already out there. Insurance, we're seeing a $50 increase per employee per trend of the CBA. PERS, we saw an increase in PERS this year. Tier 1 and Tier 2 rates increased 6.5% from 24-25. It's now at 29.7%. And OPSERV rates increased 5.9%, and they're at 26.52% currently. Federal grants estimated a 4% decrease in some grants of federal funding. Talking with other groups and organizations, that's kind of what everybody is budgeting, flat to 4% decrease. And our PACE insurance rate coverage went up 18%. And that's critical that we maintain that. General fund revenues, the total decreased by 1.26 million compared to 24-25. We have a decreased estimated local revenue, decreased estimated timber revenue, and decreased estimated beginning fund balance, and an increased transfer from the investment. General fund expenditures increases, employee contract costs are going up, associated payroll costs are going up, and increased utilities. And there's little to no change in our contingency. These are the transfers to the 200 special revenue funds, and we're only going to do these transfers if we need to do these transfers. Scholarship fund, $37,000. Textbook adoption, $60,000, and I believe we're having a rather large textbook adoption that's going to be coming out of the early literacy grant, so that won't even be coming out of that. Staff tuition fund, $30,000. Food service, $281,000, and our annual transfer to student body of $6,500. FTE comparisons. So this is just a bunch of numbers to show that we're showing instruction from our adopted budget in 24-25. We had 22.84 FTE budgeted there, and now we're proposing 21.32 FTE, which is a decrease of 1.52, and support staff 15.5. This year 15.07, and a decrease of 0.43. And this is kind of some shuffling, moving around of people from different funding sources, and also kind of in our minds, moving people from different positions within the district. Special revenue funds, the total there you'll see, we're actually going to be increasing 0.14 FTE. And then all funds total, down at the bottom, you'll see we have anticipated a 1.81 decrease in FTE. And then our next steps, our next meeting is going to be May 19th, 2025 at 6 p.m. If you have any questions, please email questions to Corey or myself, and we thought we'd like do a Google Doc or something so everybody can have the same information, and then we'll be able to respond prior to the next meeting. But we'd like to have the questions prior to the next meeting so we can kind of research and get your questions answered. And after that, the budget committee hopefully approves the budget, and then the school board will move to approve and adopt the budget by approving the budget resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Tammy.
Real quick question. Have we seen an increase or a decrease in our special taxing for the district for property taxes? Okay, so it just kind of stays the same. Okay.
Yes.
So we're not anticipating a big drop or a big increase in what we get from the county.
Right.
Okay.
Right. As far as property taxes, yes.
Okay.
I skipped a part back in 5.0 for swearing in the new chair and vice chair, so Jan, if you'd like to come up and swear in.
All right.
I, Jan Sanger,
I, Jan Sonner,
solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States and of the state of Oregon,
do solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States and of the state of Oregon,
and faithfully discharge any duties which shall become my responsibility as budget chair of the Jewel School Budget Committee.
and faithfully discharge any duties which shall become my responsibility as budget chair of the Jewel School District Budget Committee.
Okay, vice chair, come on.
I have to do it too.
That is it. Same one. Should have it memorized by now. I, Patty Drew, do solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States of the state of Oregon,
I, Patty Drew, do solemnly swear to support the laws of the United States and of the state of Oregon,
and faithfully discharge any duties which shall become my responsibility as vice chair of the Jewel School Budget Committee.
and faithfully discharge any duties which shall become my responsibility as budget vice chair of the Jewel School Budget Committee.
Good. Good.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any audience clarifications? If we're good there and we're in discussion, we will move to adjourn. But if anybody has a motion to adjourn,
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
stay if you like. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Adjourned at 6:47. Okay. 5.0, we will reconvene in our regular board meeting at 6:47. It'll bring us to 6.0, approval for changes to the consent agenda. I do have one change to the agenda. We need to add under 6.0, we need to add another ORS. The ORS will be 192.602H, litigation filed or likely to be filed against the district. I'll add. Does anybody else see anything? We're good with that. No discussion. We'll take a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll motion that we approve the changes to the consent agenda.
Second,
I'll second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Public comment. I think we're good. Nobody stand up. 8.0 financial report. Oops, somebody's speaking.
Am I?
Oh, no, you're excused.
All right.
Unless you really want to stick around.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
I just noticed under 8.0, it says 5.1. That should be 8.1.
Huh.
Minor detail.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brayden.
Financial report expenditures, credit card listings for March. Any questions, or Tammy have anything?
There was anything that stood out or anything that was.
Okay, we'll bring us some 9.0 principal reports.
All right. Well, as I mentioned last month, the students got their bus, goal for having 20 days without any kind of a write-up on the bus. And so everyone celebrated with pizza and ice cream, and I got Fulton. So it helps to flying. And actually Tammy was able to get that for us. And it was so great to have everybody there and having and celebrating, that accomplishment. And so then after that, the MTSS team talked about, okay, where do we go next? We're going to up the number of days that are required to have to get the next goal, and the next, the thing was, so what we're looking at are 2 on bus behavior. And it'll be 35 days instead of 20 to achieve the goal and get the reward. And then also, excuse me, looking at attendance and having students, we're looking at doing like a bowling day, take kids bowling. And we're not sure exactly how that's going to look yet. If we can find a place where everybody can go, or if we have to split it up or have different places for the kids to go. But those students who have their attendance at 80%, and that might seem low, but again, we're looking at, okay, we want kids to achieve and to say, okay, I did this and now I can do better, because then we're going to be upping that level each time. And so that's been very good. The kids are excited about reaching those goals. Another thing that we're doing is all the prevention stuff for vaping, and having our youth fair, Bridges and Beyond, coming up on the 1st of May on Thursday, and having a presentation made about all those substances. But I'm also excited because they're doing something on gaming, because that's something where kids are online. I mean, you can do anything online, and so that seems to be the next step. Also, is teaching kids about, don't get caught in whether it's sports, gambling, or whatever it happens to be. So that's going to be very good. So we have middle school and a separate high school presentation on the 1st. Then we're going to have our family time that's open for everybody. And they're going to have prizes. They're going to have Mexican food trucks come in and talk about all those things that basically we talked about with the kids. But again, that prevention and pulling the community together. And so I'm really hoping we have a good turnout for that as well.
Do we have a date for that yet?
May 1st.
May 1st. Okay.
Yeah, the kids are going to be at 12:55, and then at 2 o'clock on that day. And then at night with the parents, we're going to have 5:30 to 7
On the 1st.
Yeah, on the 1st. Yep. And then we have state testing coming up. We're going to, I'm going to catch my breath. We have, Corey worked out to have 4 sessions about vaping, because that is something that we're dealing with a lot around here. So we've had, well, it's been a struggle, and it is a struggle, because we know kids are vaping and trying to get them to stop. And right now it's mostly just trying to say, okay, here's what's happening. How can we help our kids to understand about vaping? So Corey has set up 4 sessions. We had one last week, and I wasn't here for it, but apparently it went very well. Even heard that the kids were talking about it in the classroom after. So it wasn't like, oh yeah, it wasn't that dumb. They were asking questions. They were talking about what they'd learned. And so we have 3 more sessions coming up for the next few weeks that will go into vaping again and go into more depth, and to educate kids, because it's something that just seemed harmless when I first heard about vaping. I thought, wow, what a good alternative. But the negative side of it can be deadly.
So have you seen so smoking regular cigarettes versus vaping, are they about even, or are the kids quitting cigarettes going to vaping?
We haven't had the cigarettes, being here before, we had smoking, we had those kind of things, or you're drinking, because you could smell it on their breath. With vaping, it's very hard to know when they're vaping, other than we have the vape sensors that go off. We have had a few kids that have been, in fact, even kids from out of the district, different on our music program or with the music festival, that I caught vaping, because we have our sensors. It kicks the cameras on when the kids come out and know who it is, basically. But I don't know of any kids that are around here that are smoking cigarettes.
So it's gone from
Vaping,
smoking to vaping.
I think so. Yeah, that's my assumption.
Yeah.
You know, what was neat about that assembly on last week, I can't remember what day it was, but they had a different presentation for the middle school and high school kids. So the middle school kids, they got to see, I mean, if they're thinking it's water vapor that they're inhaling, they got to see what that looked like, just regular water. Then they got to see what was component that was inside and what was swirling in there. To the high school kids, they got to see an actual visualization of what one droplet looked like, and formaldehyde and metals and all those things. And we had a staff member in the back just outwardly said, "Oh my goodness, I had no idea." But then you had, like Mike said, you had kids asking questions, Lily asking questions, and it was all said and done. Carolina from the health department came up to me after all the kids left and said, "Did you see all these kids coming up to me?" And I said, "Yeah." I said, "Give me a space." And she said, "Well, they wanted more information. They're rather intrigued with the component of what this can do to their bodies." And so we carefully put it 2 weeks before, 2 sessions before the Bridges and Beyond thing. And then we did another 2 more after. So May 20th, I think, Mike, you got it set up to go all the way through May 20th. And it's an ongoing partnership with that organization. And I told them, I don't want this to be one and done. This is an education that we'll be doing for here on out for the next year. And then building upon that to other things like you mentioned, the online security and safety, predators, all those things as well.
Because that's interesting, because you're always told, oh, it's no big deal, it's just vapor, it won't hurt you.
Not
You
true.
know, and to see, that what is actually in there, I'm sure that's just crazy.
They're seeing this new condition called popcorn lung. And it's basically like a heightened or a condition on steroids similar to, oh gosh, what am I drawing a blank? When you get moisture in your lungs. Pneumonia, thank you. And they can see it on x-rays and it looks like white clouds in your lungs and
I had no idea.
it's unbelievable.
That's a future lesson they're going to be getting also.
Yeah.
And you mentioned cigarettes. They said in that first session, 1 pod, and I'm new to this. So, and I asked them, can they do education for the whole staff in August, which they're going to come out and do education for the
Okay.
staff. But 1 pod, which I think is 1 cartridge container or something,
I have no
is
idea.
equivalent to, I think it's a whole pack of cigarettes. But again, that's a new world for me, but yeah.
And that's like in a one vape.
I don't know how many times you can vape with a pod, but yeah, once it's empty, that would be equivalent to 1 whole pack of cigarettes.
I had no idea. I really had no idea. Interesting. Okay, I didn't mean to interrupt, but
Oh,
it's just,
that's
it's
exactly
just,
what we want.
Maybe they
Wow.
could educate us too.
yeah,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And then, like I said, we have state testing coming up. We're going to have this Wednesday, our professional development is going to be getting online and taking the training because anybody that's a test administrator needs to be trained every year. And so I'll be heading that up. We'll get our teachers that are going to be assessing, also with our assistants, because even if you're just in the classroom helping out a little bit, you need to be trained with that and know what to say, what not to say, those kind of things. So we're going to be doing that. And then we have our testing window, which starts Monday and then goes for 3 weeks. The actual testing window goes until June, but just wanted to, because we're going to, that you're going to have kids that are absent. So I just cut it down to 3 weeks. Gives everybody a window so you can say, okay, got to get it done here. But then if it spills over, we still have, time where we can still test the kids that are absent. And so I'll be handling a lot of that too, just to individual kids that we need to test. Yes.
After testing, how long before you get results to know the outcome?
Well, you get, it'll be, they always say it's going to be the end of the year and then it isn't. So it's the state. And so hopefully I've had them by the end of June. And so it's good information. You can use it.
For planning and.
Right. I mean, to a certain extent, but usually at the end of June. Yeah. And they're getting better.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Don't you feel like the staff are trying to put together a schedule that shows the importance of this for them to take? I feel like they're.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
100%.
That's really good because we had, let's take language arts, high school language arts, and they have class, a lot of these kids have class right at the end of the day. And so Mariah said, okay, can I switch classes with somebody so we can have this earlier in the day so they can have an hour or more and when they're still fresh to do that. And the teachers have been working so well together to say, yes, Mr. Freeman is flip-flopping some classes. We have people offering up their time in middle school. Noah has offered to have like 3 sessions that are during band time for middle school. But yeah, they are absolutely working together so we can give our kids the best chance when they're fresh to get this done. Because it's like when you're teaching language arts, you want it to be first thing in the morning. Those are the staples that need to be done when kids are ready to have breakfast, they're ready to go. Thank you.
Okay. Old business, we had 10.1, sex education curriculum.
So I just put this on there. I'd like to keep this open to our community. We're gonna set another reminder through all our, avenues that we have, and also a letter out to community also. This is, I'm not gonna show it unless you want to see it, but this is the Great Body Shop that Natalie, our counselor, was here showing you guys the last board meeting. And then, these are the pamphlets. I think there's 10 of them, if I'm correct. But I want to get a message out at the end of the street to our families, just to remind them, come on in, take a look at this. We've already passed the second step, student prevention program, but that's available to take a look at, but also this one. The same thing for board members. I know, I'll talk to, the contact source that we have for this to see if we can open the record virtually. I know some of you guys already looked at that.
Yeah,
But I think we can hopefully open up again, but
Good.
I am gonna ask you, if you're willing to put a vote together the month of May, but I want to keep this open for about 4 more weeks because we haven't had a lot of foot traffic. So I want to get the message out to one more time, to make sure that we gave you, 6-7 weeks to really come on in and take a look. Same thing for a community. So if you have any questions during that process, just yell.
What did you think of it, Jan?
so I started at the top, or the beginning out the kindergarten all the way, and I've gotten up to like 5th or 6th grade so far. And it's a really logical sequence. It's very high level, gentle. And the fact that we have it structured, people can opt in or out as they need to for whatever segment. And then segments are pretty easy I could really see how a teacher read the script and present material, and then we're in compliance, and I didn't find anything super concerning so far. I'm not done looking, but so far I'm like, yeah, it's a decent choice, especially just because it's very clear.
10.2, longitudinal performance growth targets.
So I expect you to remember these, but during the student investment account, I pictured up when I showed you these metrics and whatnot that the Oregon Department of Education wanted us to kind of put together with the student investment account report that I had that I'll be submitting on Wednesday. About a week ago, I received this notice from Oregon Department of Education. I'm just going to read you the 3 sentences here so you know where I'm coming from. So it said, many of you are tracking and have asked about 2 educational accountability bills, House Bill 2009 and Senate Bill 141 in the legislature that significantly ties Oregon Department of Education's work, including the longitudinal performance growth targets, and a few other items as well, into the work that we do in districts. So in other words, if we don't hit some of these metrics in the long run, the proposal is at the legislative level that the state can withhold funding to all districts. Any district that's not hitting these metrics. I had, it says after careful consideration, ODE leadership has made the decision to not co-develop 2 additional years of these with grantees following the 2025 application process. Instead, grantees will continue to use existing targets set in 2023 for the next 5 years. So what that means is Brian Bain from ESD, I presented to you were these metrics about our 4-year cohort graduation rates, or 3rd grade ELA proficiency, that's some of your state testing, regular attenders, that's attendance. And we had put targets out there to showcase where the numbers are over the course of the years that we kind of reach these things. And obviously, as I told you, attendance, we've already hit that last year, and we're well above what our goals were. What basically they're saying is they don't want this anymore. So all the work they just did to put this together at the ESD, goodbye. So that's about 2 days worth of, sorry. I was saying out loud, okay. Sorry. So that's 2 days worth of work in my world. That's overall, that's gone. So we're going back to what we did, for the last essay, thing that I put together a couple years ago. That pushed it all the way out to 27, 28. So that's all I want to be aware of is that part of my presentation. You will never see that part anywhere in work with the district. So so if you'd like a copy of this at all, it's in my office, email me, I can send it out to you, but this is what we'll be tracking with some of our grants. So, any questions?
Again, 11.0 new business. 1.1 SPHC discussion.
One moment here. Okay, so I'm reaching out to the board here, just because I want to get the temperature feeling for what's going on. So I received notification from the school-based health center. Sherry Ford is the director from Columbia Health Services. We're again the only school-based health center in all of Clatsop County, and I will tell you that is seen as a positive amongst almost everybody I work with in my field, in my line of work here. At multiple angles, it's open to students and staff, but it's never been open to the community. I know that's something I had talked to with the board when this thing opened up about almost less than 3 years ago. I make general, I'd say monthly visits over here to say hi, how are things going? I did receive a report from them, a confidential report that showcases the usage by our students and whatnot. And I will say it is getting used, but I can't get into the specifics. If you want to come to my office, I can't obviously give you student names, but I give you some percentages and whatnot. But one of the things I always bring up to them is, what are your thoughts? I'm talking to school-based health people there. What are your thoughts on opening this thing up to the community? And the response is, we're not ready yet. We don't have the staffing. We're not ready to go there. So don't push it. And I'm the kind of guy that likes to push a little bit. And if I get a no, then I get a no. But it doesn't mean I'm done. I want to just let things sit for a little bit. My viewpoint, this is only my viewpoint, is I think it would be great for our community. I know not everybody agrees, but distance for me living, I'm thinking if I lived here and had to travel an hour away to get some specific services, and we don't even know what those are yet, could hamper some individuals from getting the services that they may need, but won't get in the vehicle or can't get in the vehicle to get where they need to go. Sherry Ford said at some point, the email communication sheet I had last Friday, at some point it may be important to clarify what services could be provided to make sure we are all on the same page about operating hours when schools close and et cetera, et cetera. She included a few other people involved, and I said, slow down, we're not there. I said, I just want to engage with you guys. They are ready now to have it open to community, if that's what the district would like at some point. So before I even jump into that conversation, obviously I would need school board buy-in to even go into that, and I don't want to waste my time. So I'm just asking school board, basically, what are your thoughts? Do you want me to investigate with the services, what this could look like? You're not making a decision on saying this is open up to community tonight at all. That's not what I'm asking you. I just want to know, do I have your permission to engage them in conversations around that work? So I can give you as much information and then we can go from there, or is it just a hard line no? Because I don't want to waste my time or your time.
I think it's very important that we open it up to the community.
Sure.
And, not just open it up and have everybody rush in with everything. Certain things start out slowly. Certain things come down, get your blood pressure checked, get your blood sugar checked, maybe minor wound care. Maybe you've got something that, oh goodness, we can't handle that here. Even though you're coming in thinking that it's just a minor wound care, you need to get to the hospital. Just little things to start with and see how it goes and see if the community is willing to come down.
Are you thinking like an urgent care type of situation?
Well, a little bit, but maybe not quite as much as urgent care.
Okay.
But just start slowly with little things that, say you got a cut finger, you need a couple stitches. I don't know if they could even do that, or if they could look and go, oh, you need to go into, really get into town.
Because I know for the early on the onset, this was what we went out to families, so they knew what was going on with the services provided. And the same thing I would imagine if we did, we could put together a list of things, or I could propose these are all the things they could do. We could choose. I don't
But I would love to see it open to the community. I really would. I mean, if we're going to have it.
Well, my mindset in my head is it's sitting there.
Yeah,
If we don't
exactly.
talk about it now, then we're never going to talk about it.
Yeah.
It's not going, it's sitting right there.
Yeah.
So,
Well, when they first opened, it was, we were hearing at the time was they probably won't make it at all without the community forever. you know, but now we're hearing, oh, well, they weren't ready for till now, so that's kind of, I guess that's good. They feel like they're ready to go. I would definitely be open to see what they're willing to provide.
The first part was through Clatsop County running it. That was a joke.
I agree with Patty. However, I do have concerns, right? As soon as we open it up to community, it now becomes an urgent care out here.
Very well.
That's without question.
It will.
That will happen, right? My first concern is security. You start inviting community members, no matter who they are, into the school, who provides security for that, right? This
But they
is,
don't actually go into the school, do you?
Well, but they don't, because they can't use it right now, but that was the number one thing that was also when we first opened this, that was a point of discussion.
But they're
And-
locked down to this one side.
And the idea was that they would enter where they had
Just right here.
that door right there on the side, so they would park here and enter right there. They'd never enter into the actual building.
and there's no way that they could get it.
I mean, what is that?
There's that door.
You can lock. You don't lock that around.
Yeah, but it's not from the inside.
And that's, you know, that could be also a point of discussion. Do we figure out some way to say that door has got to be gone? I don't know.
Well, or we open it up to community when it can be monitored with county law
I
enforcement,
was thinking appointment only, maybe.
right? Or something that, just in my mind, that has to be considered.
Oh, I agree. Oh, I
I mean,
completely.
there's a lot of things to work out, but in the long run, I do think it needs to
I
go.
do too. I think
But
that,
I agree, there's got to be certain policies, procedures that need to be followed and
yeah,
maybe certain hours that it's opened and
This could be something that takes months or a whole
Sure,
year
I mean,
next
it's
year
not
to
like-
get it
yeah.
happens, but.
not like.
I mean, I
tomorrow
hate
we're
to
gonna
say it,
open
I mean, we live in a pretty ugly society.
Oh, I know.
And we have to expect the worst, right? Somebody's gonna be driving by overdosing on heroin, right? And they're gonna pull in here expecting to get a shot of Narcan for their buddy, right? And you don't know, it's like they're armed, they're looking for anything, it's like, you just gotta think about that, right?
And that's
I
what I'm
mean,
thinking, like appointments only, it's scheduled, it's nobody off, just when you want to come in, it is completely scheduled.
Sure,
That's where I'm.
and that all goes right out the door. When it becomes community, when it becomes open to the community.
Well, I think it's a good idea to authorize Corey to have the discussion and in my view, whatever comes about, it's gonna be limited just by virtue of the fact that it's here at the school.
Well, unlike a lot of, like you
Yeah.
mentioned, like, unlike a lot of other school-based health center, it is attached to a building.
Yeah.
And in most places, it's on campus, but it's not attached to the building. So I hear you.
I mean, if it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't.
Right.
You know, it's not something that we're tied
Yeah, we
to,
have to
but I
protect
think
our
it's
own
something we
first,
need to explore and talk about and see if we can make it work.
Mhm.
And if it doesn't, it doesn't.
Yeah.
You know, it goes back to kids only.
Yeah.
So,
There's some upcoming lockdown training, correct?
There is, I'm scheduling some things with Sheriff's Station right now. It's supposed to be Wednesday, but I want to make sure all the parties are involved, so we're pushing it sometime in May right now.
I'm just saying that might be a good discussion to have with them, maybe on trying to control flow of in and out of there, if, you know, they might have some input on doing things.
Okay.
But yeah, I think definitely open to see what they offer. And if we're putting it out to the families, the public, if this is what they offer and it's very limited, it's gonna be pretty limited, I think. But yeah, we're gonna have to figure out how we can make it secure for sure. Good. Okay, 11.2, 2025-2026 budget calendar draft.
The reading, other just. Let me find it here. Okay, so the draft is here, and as recently, Tammy, I'm gonna bring this up since we're here. So we need our business manager here for the meeting. So, Tammy's daughter is graduating next year, from, help me out here,
Columbia,
Columbia, thank you, my brain, from Columbia, and it's around May 18th, and that's the date of the
May 20th, yeah.
meeting. So I did tentatively put some dates here. I don't know, I mean, they're aligned with our board meetings, but I don't know if the board be okay. I put April 13th, a week earlier, instead of April 20th. So therefore we could push back I think it would call for a budget meeting followed by a week later would be the board meeting. But otherwise Tammy won't be able to make, she won't be able to make the main presentation for what's going on here, due to graduation. So I put April 13th, I just crossed it off, I literally just did this afternoon, April 13th, and I put May 11th. And Tammy, I don't know how you feel, but I mean, June 15th, could we hold that one in place?
I think so.
Gives them 3 weeks.
It's on the very bottom, the budget.
Correct,
Not
yeah,
our
just, yeah,
regular
yeah, not the regular
board
board meetings, but regular.
Where is this calendar in our book? I can't find it.
11
Yes, on Wednesday. Well, it doesn't have,
is on the very bottom.
I think the very back of the whole.
You got board directors and then you've got budget committee right on the bottom.
I see May 18th.
Yeah, I'm proposing because
Changing
I got the information after this.
I'm sorry. Gosh, okay,
So that's right. So we're April 13th and May 11th.
okay,
Those are the 2 dates I'm proposing.
and May 11th.
Well, you just call up Columbia and you tell them they need to change. You're busy. I mean, they don't have to be on board meetings. It's nice if they are, but it's not required. There's no way that, I mean, you can have one any day you want. It's fine with
And
me.
would it still be at 6 though, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
Next year.
Mhm.
That calendar's still open.
Is that?
My calendar's still open a year out.
So we think we would change the actual board meeting dates as well, right?
No, board meetings. I mean,
We're gonna keep-
I preference keep the board meetings just.
We just have 2 Mondays back to back.
We'll just cross off prior to. Just cross.
Yeah.
That's right, yeah. Okay, is everybody good with that? Okay, no more discussion. We'll take a motion to approve that.
I'll make a motion to approve the changes to the 25-26 budget committee calendar from April 20th to April 13th and from May 18th to May 11th, 2026.
We have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
I,
Carried. Okay, 11.3 Academic Scholarship Committee.
Okay, so I think this is another board policy that, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't think it's been followed for years, so. Little by little, we're trying to get these things in place here. So we got out of 11 seniors, we got 10 applicants for scholarships, which is cool. I mean, that's so you can see all the work that they put together to get this here. So according to board policy, which I did update last May, I believe, the Jewel School District Academic Scholarship Committee is charged with promoting secondary education for the graduating students of Jewel High School by reviewing the applications and recommending scholarship awards to the Jewel School Board. So the Jewel School Academic Scholarship Committee shall be a total of 5 members comprised of the following. And I'll go through that in just a moment here. The superintendent shall make a committee member recommendations to the Jewel School Board, who then will appoint the committee members. And then I have to give a presentation, or the board does, for the May school board meeting about the determinations of what we're going to do with those recommendations for scholarships. So the board was comprised of a board member, certified staff member, superintendent or designee, business manager, and one parent teacher organization PTO member who's not an employee of the Jewel School and does not have a graduating senior. And if no PT member is qualified, then one member of the community who is not an employee of the Jewel School District and does not have a graduating senior. So I haven't reached out to her yet, but I know we have some members on the PTO, but I was thinking PTO president Emily. Am I saying it right? Cryer, am I saying it right?
Syria.
Siri, I'm way off. I'm sorry. Okay, I was gonna reach out to her. I'm certain she'd probably be okay, but if not, there's a couple more I could reach out to. Mark Freeman, I put there for the district certified staff, myself, Emily Swearingen, and I need a board member. I didn't know who would want to volunteer their time, but I would not see this being more than a couple hours going through all the applicants in one sitting for a couple hours.
how many scholarships are we going to?
There's 10 applicants, 10 scholarships to go through. 10 of our 11 students are applying for the scholarships.
Okay, now wait, yeah, how many scholarships are there?
How many are you offered?
don't every one of them, don't all of these kids,
My,
aren't they
my
eligible for
understanding is
this?
I'm reading this, everybody's eligible for a scholarship.
Yeah.
Every single one of
There's
them.
only one scholarship or is there?
No,
No,
No.
everyone's allowed to go for the scholarship, everyone, every single student.
but isn't this the scholarship that no matter, as long as you're a graduating senior and you've completed it, doesn't Jill School pay?
Yeah, this is the one, yeah.
This
But-
is the one.
But the eligibility is they must have completed the requirements for a district diploma. They must attend Jewel High School at least 2 years and have a minimum GPA of 2.5.
Okay,
This one is where, I think we need to honor what's written here. Students must have attended Jewel High School full-time their senior year and have an average attendance record of 90%. I really think we need to hold that.
then why are we going through these applications when they're automatically going to get the scholarship?
May not automatically go through because we're gonna have to go through each one and say, did they fit all these?
Oh, so
So
it's
that's,
up to,
yeah, that's.
okay, it's not up to,
No,
Okay.
so it doesn't fall on me per se, and say,
Okay.
yeah, I said you couldn't, it's the committee.
okay, so we're just going to review them to make sure that they,
We'll have all this information, we'll sit down and go through them
Okay.
as a team, we'll
Okay.
make sure we all.
because I'm going, why? Because they're automatically.
As long as they meet the requirements. then they-
Okay, so we're just looking for requirements. We're not looking for,
Do we also interview them? Or
Let's see,
I don't think so.
says the scholarship selection criteria is based on application, essay written by the student, it expresses what that is, a list of scholarships, copy of the high school transcript, an interview with the academic scholarship committee, which may include an extemporaneous
Really?
writing. So we can pull them in.
Oh, I don't remember ever interviewing the kids before.
It says A.
It says we may include an extemporaneous writing. But it does say an interview, this is what's been in policy for quite a while,
Interesting.
Wow.
but it's never been followed.
I was gonna say, I don't think it's that way. Okay,
And that has to
Anybody
take
want-
place by,
Well, before that, before the.
yeah.
before graduation.
May board meeting.
Okay.
And I would do my best to keep my mouth quiet so we can keep it 2 hours.
Oh, you're in there too? Oh, I'm out.
I don't mind doing it, but I want to make sure that everybody has the opportunity to jump in.
It would be during the school day, obviously, so we have the students here, we can fall and schedule it out and we get it done.
I wish I had time. I don't.
I see about 10 minutes a kid. The student.
My work schedule's not gonna allow it though.
I'm great with nominating Patty. Just like you really might want to do it.
Patty, you just need another office here.
I guess.
I don't know if that means when it says appoint committee members, there has to be a vote by the board or not, but that's my list of people.
So I'd make a motion to appoint Patty Drew to the Academic Scholarship Committee.
We have a second. I'm sure you do the rest of these guys as well. I don't know.
Oh, well, we don't even know.
Second.
On it.
Well, actually, yeah. Well, you know.
I mean, we have to probably talk to them.
Yeah, I mean, I know 3 of them will be, and I briefly notified 3, but, yeah, that's fine. And if it changes, I'll give you that time. It's fairly smoothly on it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do you have a date in mind?
I do not,
Okay.
no, not yet. I'll keep you apprised. Okay, thank you, Patty.
Okay, 11.4 policy update.
All right, so these were the ones, this was based off of, make sure I get all my stuff here. No, this is the policy change explanation. So I believe it was last month, 2 months ago, I had given a whole bunch of Title IX policy changes with the recommendation of OSBA and pushed those forward. Then I came back last month and said, hold on, there's been some changes at the federal level and the government has now pulled those all the way back to about the 2020 level of policies that we had prior. So after going through that, we didn't push those policies through. So there's really not hardly any changes at all. Only changes I'm going to ask you to do that I provided to look at was the non-discrimination policy AC. Leave what we have in there, but remove footnote 2, which was basically pertains to employment and compensation of personnel within Oregon school districts. Specifically, it grants district school boards give authority to the superintendent and superintendents to establish the terms and conditions. I looked at all the other county school districts, nobody has, footnote 2 of their policies. And so that would be the one, removal from the policy. And then the policy GBA-AR1, which is also the same thing as GBA-AR1, that's reversed in letters here, is sexual harassment complaint procedures. The only changes, it still has Steve Phillips and John Woods as the names of points of contacts, and I would like that, change that to Corey Peterson and Mike Scott. And I'll obviously have to change it when we get a new principal. But that is the only changes I'm asking. So you can either, I mean, my mindset, you can approve it now or discussions, or we'll look at it more.
I move we approve
Just
it.
approve them now and get them done with the both of them.
It really hasn't, yeah,
Guess I could change it again.
we will, yeah.
But until then, we need to make,
Well, that's going to extend another year. Well, how can we change these 10?
What is that?
We change about every 10 years?
You're talking about these?
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of policies going back to
So we
2015.
just put Mike Scott in there, we have 10 years.
Yeah, that's right.
I like it.
We changed the name for once. Is that Patty over there making a motion over there?
She did.
I didn't know. But I will. Okay, I'll make a motion to delete footnote 2 on policy AC non-discrimination. And on policy sexual harassment complaint, JBA/GBN/AR1, to insert Corey Peterson and Mike Scott, superintendent and principal, and/or principal.
I second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, good. You want to have a rough time? Yes, sir. Were you say what? Gonna bring us to 12.0 superintendent report. 12.1 HCP update.
Thank you. Okay, HCP update. Let's see, our current lawsuit that we're in with the Department of Forestry, there has still been no ruling from a judge for appeals, other than they just had a motion to fix transcriptions to make them correct, in some of the previous court settings. So they just wanted some verbiage to be accurate, reflective of what took place a long time ago, months ago, when we first had our hearing. So that's the one that has changed so far, so we're still waiting for a ruling. At the federal level, I'll give you an update. The ACP has a draft. It's called the Environmental Impact Statement. I don't know if everybody knows what that is per se. It's called the EIP, and public comment has concluded on that. That's been part of the draft HCP since the beginning. So since 2022, roughly, the EIS, has been talked about. So at the moment, no final EIS has been issued. So remember, it did pass the state going to the federal level. After one is issued, the federal services will issue a record of decision, meaning they'll determine whether or not at the federal level, if this is going to go forward. And if it is approved, then the services will enter into a final HCP, which means it will now officially go into effect. And I give you an update with President Trump from last board meeting, the executive order for the federal forest lands to open up the floodgates and harvest. With that, currently does not have an impact on the HCP for the state level for us, for our forests. I will say there is other components taking place at the federal level that I am not an obligation to say in public session at the moment, but there's some federal things going on in Washington, D.C. right now around our forest lands in Oregon. That's all I can say at the moment.
Around state land in Oregon, or is it still strictly federal lands?
It's all being discussed.
Oh, okay.
Okay, that's all I have. We paid him quite a bit last month, so hopefully he's getting something done.
Yeah.
12.2 NSCC school climate survey results.
I'm gonna. What I thought back to you here.
Totally forgot.
Shelley Alford and myself, we've been part of this grant called the INRED grant. And part of it is working on school culture and climate, something we've been working on. That's part of our MTSS also. And we sent out a survey to the staff and the community. If I'm doing something wrong here. And the survey went out to our students, our staff, and also the community. We did all call, and that was through text, emails, and a phone call also on our letterhead. We sent letters out to families also. We also put up on our district website for weeks. And so I just want to give you an update. So when these surveys come through, we don't see us giving them and provide no information about what came out of those surveys. So I want to give you an update. I mean, I know I'm sluggish with my tech. There we are. Okay. Actually, how this in the device.
It's gonna take some time to catch up.
So this is called the Comprehensive School Climate Inventory. So you can see what it's doing here is administrators who are 3rd through 12th graders, staff as well, and families. Research-based, found and reliable. This is a national survey that goes out to many districts. You have to pay for this. So get this through a high-level grant that we have. An in-depth profile of school community strengths and areas for improvement. We've been talking about this for quite some time to get this moving forward. So school climate based on the experience of all the stakeholders. So we're talking our families, school staff, specifically our students. And then it reflects perceptions of the norms that go on in this district, the goals of the district, the values, you can see our relationships in between everybody, teaching and learning, and the organizational structures. And we talked about a number of these things and other staff as well through the last 2.5 years. So here we go. So they're based off of these 5 domains. So safety, and you can see what's underneath the items of safety right there. Teaching and learning, interpersonal relationships, institutional, the environment, and leadership and ethics. So these are what the surveys are about, or the questions are about. And then this is where we're at currently. So it took us a while to prepare. We were prepared to have this out late winter. We eventually got it out here around spring break time over that. We just went through the evaluation stage, so we're now looking at the results. We had Shelley Alford and myself had a meeting with one of the organizers in New York City, obviously virtual. We didn't fly over there, and helped us go through the results. We are just processing these right now. The next thing I want to show you is response rates, and there's information there. I want you to look at that and just think to yourself, what strikes you as kind of frustrating. I think you're going to see it immediately what it is. And we have questions around this. So you can see your response for students, staff, and families. Which voices are missing? And I mean, I know immediately which voices are missing. Where do we excel? What factors may have influenced engagement, timing, outreach barriers for our community and for our staff and students? And how can we engage all stakeholders? So you can see our students up here, 101 population that could take the survey. We're grade that up. 62 responded. Staff, 45. We did provide time for them during PD to do this, but we didn't have all staff here. We have coaching staff, transportation staff, custodial staff. And we did provide information and links and whatnot, but they could still take them, but they didn't. So that's interesting. And our communities, 109 total population, that's families. And we tried to work with the organization to make sure we have that. We had 10 responses. And we did flood them twice with all calls. The letters going home. We also did the texting and the emailing. And so it's something, what do we do? What do we do to get our families to engage in the conversations on these things? I found that very intriguing. Those are things that we want to know. We want to figure out those answers. So
This is the first time we've done this.
it is the very first time, yeah. And so if we're consistent with following up with this, assuming, this costs a couple $1,000 to do this, but we have a grant that paid for this. So here we go. So interpreting the scores. So when you see these, I want you to be aware of, what this means. So 3.5 or higher is, they consider that pretty high. That means you're doing well. Your district is in good position. Neutral, 2.5 to 3.5. So it's not like great, not horrible. It's just, okay, it's an average area, but there's obviously room for growth. We want to make sure we get those. And then negative, 2.5, just save you for any point of that. I didn't see this. I don't believe I saw any negatives at all in the survey. That's from student, families and staff. So here we go. So just as a note, the high points and strengths, this is more, our team's going to really digest this in the MTSS, and see commonalities, what do we see across the sections here. And then also it says disconnect between and within groups. So looking at our families and our students and staffs, and how do we all view things? Because you'll see some of us view things completely different in the district. So that perception, how we contextualize those with our own experiences as educators or as parents or as staff members working with kids, or from the kids' perspective. And so it's hard to read, so I'm gonna read them out for you. So you can see over here, so each one, this is the rules and norms. This is under safety. So our rules and norms, the students give it about a 3.3 in the median range for the rules and the norms for the district and how we're handling things. Staff gave it a 4.0, different perception. I'm not going to give you my thoughts on all of them. Families gave it a 3.2. So at the moment, we're on the average range right now. Staff felt we've got it pretty solid. But keep in mind, the staff have been working on these because a lot of us didn't feel they were very solid at all. And we've only gone for the last year and a half or 2 years. So this is where we feel a lot of strength. So the staff feel that. Sense of physical security, students, so 3.6, staff 4.1, and families at 3.2. Sense of social emotional security, this is interesting, students at 3.1. They feel pretty good with it. And then you have your staff at 2.7 and family at 2.8. And the final one, online safety, students at 3.6, they feel pretty comfortable with safety for being online. And then staff 3.3 and family 2.0. So you can see over here, I won't read all those, but if you want to take a moment to read the yellow section a little bit. But I don't feel like we're doing bad as a district for safety, but we see some areas that we do want to improve and want to engage with some partners here and see where we can make some changes here. But all in all, it's good. This is domain for teaching and learning. So support for academic learning. Students give us a 3.5. Staff give us a very high 4.4. That's fairly high. And families give us a 3.6. It says staff are most positive about support for academic learning, social and emotional learning, reflecting their connection to curriculum and instructional practices as they feel most directly involved and connected to teaching and learning, which makes sense because this is what they're doing for their job. They have that connection more so than family in general because this is what they live and breathe. I'm talking about our staff. Social emotional learning, students at 3.2, staff at 3.7, and families at 2.8. So through the SIA survey that I sent out there, the need for, they want more counseling. That was a high level, more counseling for students, services here for the district. I remember reading about that and sharing that out with you guys a couple months ago. Interpersonal relationships. So respect for diversity. So students give us 3.5, staff at 3.7, and 3.0. It says school staff are most positive about teacher-student relationships and respect for diversity, highlighting supportive connections with students and peer relationships. And then students, high rating suggests students feel supported by school staff and have positive relationships with peers. You can see student-teacher relationships. Students give us a 3.6, which is again very positive. So anything above 3.5, you're doing very well. 4.7. I mean, it's not going to go much higher with your staff. You feel that this is very well if there's relationships with their kids here. And then families give us a 3. I can't read that. I think it's a 3.9. I'm probably sure that's what that is. And then peer relationships here, how we view things. Students at 3.4, staff 3.6, and families 2.9. That talks about more like bullying and how kids treat each other and how staff being in those kind of things. I won't go into the weeds and all that tonight. Institutional environment, so school connectedness. Students, 3.3, staff 4, family 3.3. Physical surroundings, students give us a 3.8, staff a 4.5, that's still very high, and family a 4.3, that's good to hear. That's very good to hear. And then social inclusion, 3.2 for students, 3.6 for staff, or 3.8 for staff, 3.6 for students. It says your families are more positive than students regarding physical surroundings and social inclusion. Staff are particularly positive about social inclusion, emphasizing their role in the classroom, friendships, and connections with the district. I believe the last one is leadership and efficacy. Staff have positive perceptions of administration and leadership. Staff are slightly more positive about collective efficacy, which reflects positive perceptions of attitudes and relationships among school staff that foster effective collaboration and learning. So admin and leadership, 3.8, and collective efficacy, 3.9. And I stood before you 30 years ago. I've been here for 18 years. I've seen a lot go through this district, and I can say internally, not now at the current moment, I'm feeling it, but this was all over the place. We had infighting and people, it didn't feel safe here. And this is from a guy that loves this district and being here in this community. I didn't feel safe. I can't say obviously in public session what it was, but it was all over the place. And so for me to see this, that this is perception of our staff, this part of the question is not in the survey for students and families, because this is a very centered question for what goes on in the living environment between the adults here. But to see the collective efficacy, I mean, when I say visions of leadership amongst staff, they want to have their voices through, it's my perception. I feel like it's wide open. We don't squash that. People are allowed to have those conversations. And if it's something that doesn't seem to work, we're polite about it, we reflect on it, and we help guide and structure. But voices I really do feel are being heard amongst all of our staff. And we can see all of it through the work that we're doing here. Administration leadership, like I think, that's continuing to rise. The Gallup New York said that's a very high number for school districts. So it's a positive. The district's gone through a lot in 18 years. We've done that. So I just want to give you an information about this, the MTSS team overall, but I do want to share with our staff as well. And we're in conjunction with our first in connection with the survey people here, how best to share this information out with our communities also, so people can have the information beyond just on your board meeting and hear from it. So just want to share that if you don't have any questions about it, but it is kind of just a snapshot of the climate culture where we're at right now in our district. So I'll just leave it there, but if you have any questions, please let me know.
Interesting to try to, track that over the next couple of years as we get more community involved.
Well, the idea is to, if we can, but to push this out there with our grant, grant, which will continue next year, and make it a consistent part of what we do, so families realize this isn't a one and done. They actually do care about what goes on with our culture here and the climate. So that's the.
Okay, 12.3, principal search update.
Not much. I've asked Elise, thank you, by the way. She's been calling all the different candidates for all the positions that we may have available, but principal specifically, May 5th. And May 5th, excuse me. We have 7 candidates. We have 5 of them interviewing, on May 5th itself. And then we're still waiting to hear back from 2 more, which is wonderful. I see you smiling over there. That's an outstanding number.
I was gonna say, that is a lot.
That's an outstanding
Yes.
number of candidates, to the point where you have to schedule 2 days
Yeah.
to do interviews, and you better believe I'm going to use 2 days to interview them. I am going to ask for committee members, interview members. I'm going to be working with Mr. Scott briefly, running a list by him tomorrow, and then I'll reach out to Elise, and then board members also. I'm going to be asking for, I believe, 2 board members to be present, obviously, so we have a quorum, but on those interviews, and I'm dead serious, I want to strengthen the core to go through this.
I will volunteer right now. I would love to be on the committee.
So, okay, I will, like I said, we'll be reaching out. That process my hope is by sometime tomorrow afternoon, I'll start having at least my finalized list, talk to Mr. Scott and Elise also. And then if we need to run over May 12th is another day to continue that.
So far, they're all on one day.
So far, that they are, and we could squeeze the other 2 on there. The other
Isn't that what
position,
that May 5th?
I'll say the other positions that we have also, I have not seen this before. We have over 18 applicants, trying to apply for the various positions in our district. And I'll say the way that we're recruiting and where we're going out is not like what we've done before. I mean, at the job educator fair, Shelley and myself, our second year going down there, so it's important to make a name for yourself. And so we did. Seaside School District and our district were really helping each other out, supporting each other. I don't know how many, 30 something applicants, or not applicants, but people, 30 to 40 people visited us. And through all the positions, we are seeing numbers we haven't seen before.
That's just, I'm shocked.
Yep.
I mean,
I
really
got
shocked.
2 more today. So, and then I'm having Elise reach out. We have a nice list through that conference, or not the conference, but the educators fair that we went through. And I thank you, Elise, as I said, you're gonna be on the phone a lot. She's been on the phone communicating and calling. And then my next thing, I asked her if you would contact George Fox and Lewis and Clark and all the universities and whatnot and say, hey, we have these open positions. Do you have any candidates that are interested in doing this? And if they're dead serious about this, I would even go down on a Friday after whatever. I go down to meet whomever if they have something. But I want them looking at our district. I don't think every superintendent's out there pushing like that. And I want to make sure that they hear we're serious.
Oh, yeah.
We want good, hardworking people for this district. This is our kids deserve it. Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm thrilled.
That's exciting.
Thrilled that we've got that many candidates.
Okay, 13.0, audience clarifications. 14.0, board of directors time. Director Walnut.
Yeah, keep it sweet, we still have more to go, but, it's good news there about that many applicants. Pretty good. Statistics, stat. Impressive. Watch that stuff. So, no, thanks for you guys' hard work. We'll get through it. And Mike has 10 more years with the new.
Well played.
Director Drew.
Not much really, other than thank you for really stepping up and getting these applicants for our open positions. I mean, I'm just blown away at the number of applicants that we have. Because I mean, it's been in the past 0 to 1 maybe. And now we've got enough, I mean, a nice pool to choose from. So that's about all I have.
I don't have much, but yeah, that's very impressive. I don't know. Do you think that's gonna be that way across the board for other open positions as well? Is it? Maybe hard to say.
Yeah,
A little bit.
a couple, I would say, I mean, I'm not even smiling on this one. I think we've got some good candidates. I don't know about all the cross the board because I don't know them all. But I know the field. I mean, I told you, I worked in the band position. I know who's out there in the band world. I'm in this position. I've been filling out for 3 years. Who are those people out there? I'm not afraid to reach out to them and say hi. Can I help?
Tell about the Fulcano's Pizza. That's all I got. Director, teacher.
Do we have an open position for, the special ed director right now?
Yes,
We do.
yes.
I'm going to start off by saying I fully support bringing on a special ed director, especially if there's a disconnect between the principal position and them wearing 2 hats. There's obviously something not working there. And
Major position.
yeah,
Really.
so I'm just going to say that I do support that. I know that was from our budget meeting, but I did want to voice that. The ag teaching position, I'm a big time fan of that, as I'm sure everybody here is aware by this point. I think that's a super program, and I hear about it come back to my house when Junie talks about Martha and their garden. And then another thing, reflecting on what comes back to my house through my daughter is she talked about the pizza and ice cream. She felt like she was getting away with something by ice cream twice in one day. Yeah. But furthermore, increase your expectations and then show appreciation just to encourage that behavior or the improved behavior that's good stuff. It's great. And I wish that more school districts would do that. Right. And then, full support of the anti-vaping campaign. I think that's more of a impact on our students than what we are even led to believe. So I've got. Good job, everybody.
Thank you.
Kathy just brought up something that was, they're also going to be handing out Narcan at the family night. So that's another thing that's a positive. I mean, it's too bad.
Yeah.
It's tragic, but it's good that it's available.
Is there going to be kind of a overview on how to use it?
Yes,
Okay.
sorry.
Okay. Director Song?
Yeah, I just want to acknowledge the preparation work going into the budget from Tammy and Corey and principal, I'm sure involved there too. And thanks for the program and results for the kids' behavior on the buses. That's obviously was needed and now it's really effective. And you're going to continue to ratchet everything, the expectations. So that's very promising. And the fact that we've got 10 out of 11 seniors applying for the grant is great. That shows high engagement. And on the topic of engagement, it's seeing the results from the survey. It's the first time running it through. It's a little, I was like you anticipated, a little surprised at how low the participation was from the staff and the families, but I think that'll give us some information that we need and we can move with that, especially with Corey at the helm. It's not going to go unmoved. So anyway, I want to acknowledge all the hard work. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, we will adjourn. Take a motion to,
No,
Recess.
oh, sorry.
we gotta
We
do
will,
15
we will
first.
recess.
No, we gotta do 15 first.
Oh, sorry, geez, 15 items for the future meeting. We have 15.1 classified staff renewals, 15.2 contract renewals, 15.3 policy JHCCF, ridiculous headlights in works, 15.4 sex education adoption. And I'll make a motion to recess to executive session for ORS 192.6602I. Discuss the evaluation process of the chief executive. ORS 192.6602F, to consult with counsel concerning exempt public records information. And ORS 192.602H, litigation filed or likely to be filed on the district. Do we have a second?
Okay. 3-minute break in that.
What's
I'll
that?
second it. Can we have a 3-minute break?
Yeah, we can have a break. We'll take a break before we go into that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Hi.
Okay.